is also here in Puerto Rico, but before I bring her up, I just want to tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do today because the end of the year is almost here. Did anybody see my Instagram live this morning? Anybody? Yes or no? Can you also take off the Join HCL now, please, off the screen, Suzanne, please? Did any of you guys see my Instagram live this morning? Yes or no? Okay, some of you guys saw it. No, you didn't see it. Okay, go in the chat and tell me if you saw it, didn't see it. Saw it, didn't see it. Let me know. Let me know. Yes, Nicole saw it. George saw it. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a bunch of that I went into this morning, but I did a really great live this morning about not being self-obsessed, not being self-obsessed with all of your shortcomings, okay? And so I am so fired up about the end of the year coming. I mean, my whole intention for this week was to just go out there and do my best to get inside your minds and have you realize that you can generate whatever amount of money you want, and it's not going to come from you being overly obsessed with all of your shortcomings. Because I want to tell you something. I already know you know this, but we all have a lot of shortcomings. None of us are perfect. I know we know this, but I want to take it past, I know I should go to the gym type mentality, right? And that is that, let me just move, I want to see my chat. Okay, that is that when I'm moving my little gallery around a little bit so I can see you guys better. Okay, hold on. I don't know why this looks so different. Sorry, guys. You guys are like positioned so different than what you normally are on my screen. Ah, darn it. Okay, it is what it is. There we go. Okay, so bear with me. I'm having another human moment. Okay, there. Okay, so I want to set this inside your head, which the moral of the story of what I talked about this morning is that who wants to create $1 million year, $1 million month, or $1 million day and declare it? Just put D for M day, MM for $1 million month, MY for $1 million year, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like MD for day, $1 million day, MM for $1 million month, MY for $1 million year. And be honest about what your next step would be, right? Like what would be truly, if $1 million, it's like 100,000 is one, $1 million, I know people say it's just more zeros, but it's actually very similar strategies to go to $1 million a year. And then when you start to go to $1 million months, $1 million days, it's often volume or it's just some wisdom on how to do it better, right? And so I share that with you because when we branch out and we start to have these $1 million days, $1 million months, so often we get that wisdom through contribution, not from constantly focusing on where we have our shortcomings. So I 100% know that there's a lot in my character and my personality that I'm still weeding, right? And so any of you guys know my friend Rex Crane? Rex Crane, a couple years ago, I asked him, I said, how do you set your goals for the next year? And he said, I actually set character goals. And I thought, wow, that's so smart. In our leadership program, we do something where you set the goal that you want. And I never made these two connections, by the way. That's why I'm sharing this with you. Like when I talked to Rex, I'd been in leadership for a long time and never actually made this connection. The trainers would always say Shanda or, Dawn, you know what I mean? Like Dina, like they would say, Michael, who was yesterday, he'd say, okay, Dina, what do you want to create? She'd say, I want $1 million month. And he'd say, well, who do you need to? I have some background noise, so Suzanne or somebody doesn't have their line muted. So can we just make sure everybody's line's muted? Michael would say, who do you need to be to create that $1 million month? Right? He doesn't say like, focus on every area you suck at and let's expand that. And then we should just work really hard to hit that $1 million month. He doesn't. He says, who do you need to be? And I remember when I was in real estate and I did over $100 million in real estate. I can tell you, I do not know how to write a real estate contract. I failed the test 2 or 3 times. The guy felt sorry for me and I hate to say it. I'm glad my son isn't around and he's not old enough to get on these lives yet. I kind of cheated. I'm sorry. I know that's horrible to say. He told me to change a bubble on my multiple choice and I changed a bubble. I know I know, Dawn, I know, I'm not proud of it, but it serves for a good story here because I never actually really authentically passed the real estate test. Now, good news, I don't have a real estate license anymore. I let it go, so you don't have to report me. That's good news. But I held a real estate license, never knew how to write a contract. And honestly, when I tell you that, who are my friends that are really overwhelmed? Put an O for overwhelmed. It's like you, and you hit these levels of overwhelmed where you're like, oh, like I need things to stop, like just this. Okay, so I was overwhelmed all the time. It was me and my BlackBerry. Today it's me and my iPhone, but I'm intimate now. I never used to look at you when I was in real estate. I would be like this on my iPhone or on my BlackBerry because I was so damn important with all the things I was doing in my BlackBerry. When I was like that, I made no money. It wasn't until I did leadership that I broke out of my intimacy issues. So one of the biggest reasons why I failed that real estate test is because I always had it in my head that I sucked at tests. And now my husband will tell you, he's like, I don't know how you do it. It's like you have a photographic memory. You hear something once, you just know it. Yeah, because I'm present now. And that was all benefit of leadership. So some of you guys know that we've made the leadership offer this week. It's going away. So if you're pondering, you can always ask us anywhere. You can send me private messages on Instagram. I answer them. So if you have any questions, please let me know because I am certain that whatever's in the block between what you want, where you are and what you want, it is a leadership challenge. So it's not true that we're too busy. It's not true that you can't handle it. And it's definitely not true that there's not enough money on this planet. And it's also not true that my friend TERI, who's going to come on, and myself, for us to succeed, you never have to be jealous or envious because they just keep printing more money. There's so much money on this planet that there is no shortage. And you never have to look at somebody and put them up on a pedestal. You need to go, if she can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. So here's how today's going to roll. Okay. Number one is Suzanne. I want you, Suzanne, Faith, everybody on Sam, all you guys, Christopher, watch the chats that you're watching because we're on YouTube, we're in a Facebook group, we're on a Facebook page, we're all over the place. Okay, so we've got thousands of people that are watching, and there's going to be thousands and thousands that will watch it over today. And if you do end up watching the replay, hit pound replay in the comments so that I can see them for later on. That's not for you guys who are live. That's for everybody later. Okay. And so I want my team to watch the comments. And one of the advantages, if you're watching live right now, is we're going to go back and we're looking for aha moments. I'm looking for not you to beat yourself up. I'm looking, as TERI speaks today and as I interview her, I'm looking for you to go, oh my gosh, I just had a breakthrough. This is what it was, right? I'm not looking for you to write big paragraphs. I'm like, I just had a breakthrough. I can actually do this. I just had a breakthrough. My cousin Tom could show me how to do that. I just had a breakthrough. There's 50 ways to find the money. I could sell my car. I never thought about that. Right? I want you to share the aha moments of where your mind is moving, because we got to get your mind right so that you actually, because if your mind moves, if it elevates, you're going to take different action. Do you guys understand that? Yes? That's leadership. When your mind moves, you will take different action. It is not true that you have to be the smartest person in the tool shed. You don't have to be the sharpest tool in the tool shed to make it work. I watched a video of Richard Branson this morning. And the video, I sent it to my girlfriend, Sherry, who we're probably creating a company together next year. And I sent it to Sherry because she's a financial chick, and did you know Richard Branson didn't even know how to read his profit and loss statements at the age of 50? 50. You know what his entire strategy for winning, and I'd say he's one of the best entrepreneurs out there, is what's missing in the airlines? Where's the gap? I'm going to take that gap. I'm going to be the best at it. In other words, his whole thing was contribution. So whatever you need to get over today, I'm going to recommend that you start thinking about contribution, elevate your mind, and you will show up for yourself. If you're procrastinating, you're bored. You're bored. Can we just call it what it is? Yes, your vision's not big enough, but it's not big enough because you're not spending time looking at it. So the reason why you're procrastinating is you're bored. And so it's time to believe in yourself at the next level. So I'm going to bring Terry up. And then what I'm going to do after Terry and I are done, hopefully we have some space, or hopefully because what I want to do is I want to teach you a sales structure. And I want to challenge you to take that sales structure and go make money today. Because I wanted to do that 2 days ago and I actually got so excited I forgot. So I want to bring it back today and keep my integrity in check and teach you something that I'm going to challenge you to go do. So we're going to watch the chats. I'm going to give you some Christmas stuffing. What are they called? Stockings. You know, anybody like stockings? I love stockings. I actually like stockings better than I like any presents. Anybody out there? So our team's going to look and they're going to nominate the best comments. And we're going to nominate the best comments, and we're going to send out a bunch of $25 and $50 prepaid visas to you guys so you can buy yourself the Christmas stocking stuffer that you want. Okay, got it? Whether it's the lipstick, whether guys, it's the shoe shine, or my husband would say the nail clippers that I always steal and there's one missing and it drives them nuts. I don't know where they go. I mean, I swear I put them back. All right, let's bring Terry up bring Terry up with me. Terry! Oh, there you are.
Hello. Oh my gosh. And hey, everybody, how y'all doing? So many things came up for me when you were just talking.
Tell me.
Oh my gosh. So first of all, I just wanted to shout out Beth. She says, I reject overwhelm and busyness. I receive that too. If anybody in here is like, I receive that in 2023, I will not be overwhelmed and busy. Like, yes, I love that. And then you asked everybody about their $1 million day, $1 million year, $1 million month. And I was just thinking back to mine. I'm like, yes, like I was so excited when I had my first $1 million year. I was so excited when I had my first $1 million month. And then I was so excited that I had my $1 million day. So you guys can do it. And I love what you said. It's not about like seeing somebody and saying, oh man, what do they have? It's the fact that you see them and you know that you can do it too. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So good. So Terry and I got connected because the woman who lives across the street from us, Angelina, who is like the most generous, loving person ever, you guys met. So Puerto Rico, by the way, Terry and I will stand and say, y'all got to move to Puerto Rico, right, Terry?
Come on. Yeah, come to Puerto Rico. We need more friends. Come on.
I don't know if we need more friends. This is the most social planet and social. I think I'm going to be bored when I go back to Cali. I think I'm going to realize how lonely I was before I moved to Puerto Rico because people drop freaking like chili off on your doorstep. There's an entrepreneurial something somewhere, and that's where Angelina and Terry met. They met at a dinner, right? Here in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so Uncommon Entrepreneurs Dinner. Mm-hmm.
Uncommon Entrepreneurs Dinner. And Angelina was saying to Terry that we should meet. And then she was telling me, I just met this girl, Terry, that I think that you guys need to meet. And then boom, Terry and I are both on stateside in Florida and we meet.
Isn't that crazy?
It is so crazy. So I want you to share a little bit about your background, Terry, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions because I don't want anybody to get intimidated or take themselves out of the game because they don't feel like they're you or that they can do this. Okay, so if you could just share a little bit about your history of how you got into this game of multiplying your money.
Sure. So as Shanda said, my name is Terri Gioma. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I have this mic, but I know I'm like in a big room. Okay. But so my last job was assistant principal of an elementary school. I was in education for about 10 years and then got to a point. Any educators in here, raise your hand if you've been in education or around education. Like I got to a point where I was just exhausted, y'all. Like I would go to the school and then me and the other assistant principal would sit in the parking lot for about 5-10 minutes, like playing gospel music, trying to like encourage ourselves to go in the building. I see some teachers in the chat. They're like, yep. And then we look at each other, like literally we both had to have like prep sessions to go in. And then midway through the day, we both have like our crying in the bathroom moments. Like I'd see her coming out of the bathroom with tissue under her eyes and I'd have my sessions like, this is too much. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. And that year I said, you know what, God? And I actually had a friend pass around the same time too. And I was journaling and I was like, you know what, God, if I could do anything, I would travel around the world and I would trade stocks. And at that time, I had been trading as a side hustle. I've been trading stocks on the side. You know, educators, we don't make a lot. So I've been supplementing my income with trading. And I had learned about trading. Someone's probably going to ask, how did she know about that? I learned about it in college. I went to MIT and I interned at Morgan Stanley. So I knew that you could trade to make money, but I was just in a different field. So that year, I'm crying in the bathroom and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can make enough money trading to supplement my income or to replace my income as an assistant principal. And at the time, it wasn't much. It only was like $300 a day. So I was like, if I could just make $300 a day, then I can leave. Like I don't have to deal with all the craziness anymore. So I started working towards that. And if you guys know, like when you're starting anything, you start slow. So first it was like, let me just be positive. Let me see if I could just like make $1 and not lose consistently. Then it was like, okay, can I make $100 a day? Okay, I'm getting it. And then finally I got to a place where I was making $300 a day. And that summer, my principal was like, you ready for the new year? And I was like, nope, I'm leaving.
Excuse me. Okay, so what I want people to hear about what she's saying is she's got a, what am I gaining mentality. Okay, so poverty thinking looks at, oh my God, this is taking too long. I needed it to happen like last year. Like poverty thinking is looking at the loss. If I pay TERI this, then I lose this and I can't pay my rent. Like gain is like, if I paid TERI doesn't have an offer for you to pay her, but like if it's like, here, like if you pay TERI this and your gain would go, and if I studied and I could make $100 a day and I paid her $500, then I could make my money back in 5 days and then I'd be in the green. Do you get what, like that? It is a huge difference in thinking. One will move you up, the other one will have you quit or not get started. So everybody go in the chat right now. Do you need to adjust your thinking? Put yes if you need to adjust your thinking in an area in your life right now. For real. Look at an area in your life. It could be in your relationships. It could be in your fitness game. It could be in your financial game. Is there an area in your life that you're looking at the loss and you're either not taking action or you're complaining about it, which makes it heavy? Or are you the person in your life that when people are around you, you're like, look at the gain, look at the gain, look at the gain? Because I'm telling you, that motivates you, but it also gets people off your back. Yeah. People who don't believe in you get off your back when you're talking about the gain all the time because they're like, oh yeah, she is gaining or he is gaining, right? Okay, so now fast forward, you quit principal game, you quit the school, and now you're going for it. Like, what did that journey look like?
So quick and real quick before I say that, I want to just touch on this point of like being able to look at the gain. I hope you guys noticed too that I was looking at small wins and then they built up to bigger wins. Like, I think a lot of people fail as a trader because they're thinking, okay, tomorrow I'm going to be, or even a business owner, tomorrow I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. And then they're not looking at the small gains. Those are really how you win when you're able to be consistent at doing the smaller things over and over again, right?
Yeah.
But to your point of what happened next. So y'all quit. And then I found this program that said we have one more seat. We're traveling all over the world. We're going to live in one place at a time for a month as a group. So I did that. I quit my job, went with them, went to Thailand, or first it was South Korea, then Thailand, then Vietnam for a month. And while I was gone, the people I was traveling with asked me to teach them how to trade because they knew that I was affording everything through trading. And still, like, you know, just my small little wins. Okay, this $300 paid for the plane ticket. This paid for the hotel room. This paid for the excursion that we went on to the mountains, right? And they were like, we want to know how to do that. Like, we know that you don't have a boss. You can do this from anywhere. You can, like, you don't have to worry. And so I didn't really want to teach because I was like, I just left the school. Why y'all asking me to do this?
I actually blew your cover on that yesterday. I did a pocket. Well, this morning I did a pocket coaching. I talked about that. I blew her cover on that because I was like, she wasn't like, I'm gonna go make myself famous. I'm gonna go trade. I'm gonna go teach people. She was like, no. The vision, God, was that I go do this with me. It was never to go do it with you.
Enjoying my life.
Exactly. It's so good. So good. Okay. So now let's get into why I brought you here because I want to. So first thing so a couple things. I'm not a trader, you guys. I don't trade. I don't do any of that. Barely have a firm grip on stocks, but I'm a smart. I'm smart with money. And when I got into digital marketing, I've never considered myself a digital marketer. I would always tell you that I'm an entrepreneur. I've gotten good at digital marketing because I've studied the crap out of it because it was the way to reach people. If you don't reach people, it doesn't matter how good your product or service is, you're out of business, right? And so there's a huge advantage to know how to market, huge advantage to know how to sell. However, there is an unfair advantage when you know how to make a little bit of money and then multiply it. That, I wish I would have gotten into that game sooner. I am obsessed with that game at this point, but now, no matter where you are, beginning, middle, or you're crushing it financially, when you look at a market like we're sitting in right now, Tesla stocks are at the lowest price they've ever been, right? I just listened to a YouTube, this really smart guy who's like TERI, been in it for a long time. And he was sharing a percentage in it's either 2026 or 2027, like it's like in the 90%. I risk being wrong on this, like 96 or 97, like it's a mass number of percentage globally that Tesla's cars will be driven. Okay, like, so it's happening no matter whether he took over Twitter or not, and people are like, will he get distracted? He's already built the team, it's going, it's on its track, it's a machine that's not stopping. So there are certain stocks there's certain things that if you were to take your money invested in, I don't know what it's trading at right now, let's say 130,
yeah.
What is it?
I think it's like 170. I was about to check for you, but yeah, it
Okay,
was at 350 and now it's down like 60%.
So what does that mean? If it's at 170, what does that mean?
That means that a stock that you used to be able to get for $350, you only have to pay 170 to own a share of Tesla, which is amazing because in the future, if it goes back up, you can really make your money back.
Right. So when you go to, if somebody was just starting, we'll start there, okay? Because I know there's a lot of people who are like, whatever. I think you should learn this game. Y'all, if you're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, side hustle something, I'm learning this game. I am studying, like when I'm walking the dog, I'm listening, right? And the reason why I'm listening is I'm just trying to get it in my ecosystem where it feels familiar. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so it doesn't feel like this odd thing that I don't know. The woman who introduced us was a furniture saleswoman. She owned her own furniture stores, so she was an entrepreneur. She thought that game's not for me, that game's for smart people. I don't know anything about that. And then she talked herself out of that idea and taught herself how to trade stocks. She took a course, taught herself, and she did over $1 million last year. She did really, really well. And she's only been doing it for a couple of years, right? So pretty cool. Now, unfair advantage is everything's in the toilet. Like, you ever heard the saying, buy low, sell high, y'all? Yes or no? Buy low, sell high? Most of y'all don't do it. Because you know when you buy shit with love, everybody's got to buy in the real estate market. The real estate market's going up. You got to buy in the real estate market. I'm watching all these people buy in the last 2 years. I'm like, why are you buying real estate? You should be selling real estate. You should not be buying real estate. It's never going to go down. It's never going to crash. All the Sotheby's, everybody's like, it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, y'all drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't care if you've been in real estate for the last 45 years and you're trying to, we're at a disagreement here. The market's crashing. And it has, and it's going to keep crashing, right? As interest rates keep going up in the real estate world, what's happening over there, right? And so, by the way, tomorrow we're going to talk about that. How many guys would love to get into the real estate market with no money down? How many guys would love to have owner financing? Why? Because you have got more money to do what Terry's talking about. If you can get into the right neighborhood and somebody else is going to owner finance you and you got even no down payment if you want, maybe a small interest rate, definitely less than what the banks are doing, then what happens is you got more money to apply what Terry's going to talk about today. Right? Like, you got to start thinking and stop paying retail for everything, right? You got to start looking at the opportunity. I ask people what they do with their money, Terry, and people are like, I'm going to buy myself a new car. Excuse my language, F the new car. Take Uber, get a bike, get an electric bike. Forget the new car. Go take that money and go buy stocks, right? Take that money and get into a real estate game where somebody's going to own or finance. Like, get smart, because otherwise you're going to miss it. So Terry, why is right now so important to learn this game? Talk to us.
Oh, goodness. So does anybody feel like you missed it in 2020? Like when all the stocks fell in March, like March, I think it was March 23rd, all the stocks fell
You,
and they
you,
were like,
you actually think that we all were watching. So
well,
many
but
people weren't watching.
it was kind of on the news, but everything fell right after COVID. And then the next 2 years, things started jumping up. And I feel like a lot of people felt like, oh, I missed it. And so then they kept thinking like, oh, well, it's too late now. Things are too high, so I'm not going to get in. Well, now because of this bear market all this year, a lot of great companies are down at lower prices than I've seen in years. Like I've been trading 12 years. Some of them, like Amazon is back, or it's a little higher now, but it's back to where it was like in 2016. So you didn't miss it. This is your opportunity to get back in. So now's the time to learn so that as I do think we're still going into recession. Stocks may come down a little bit lower, but you're able to be ready to have the opportunity as these stocks come down. So I think that's one reason. And then two, I also like I'm known for short selling. So you can also make money on the way down, which means like making money as the stocks fall. Like if you
Yeah,
know,
tell us about that. Explain the concepts because people may have heard the language, but explain the concepts. So, if a company, so you guys pretend like my company's on the stock market, and you're looking at me as a leader, and you're like, is she going to win or is she not going to win? Right? Like, what is she doing?
yeah.
Like like what's happening in the industry. You start to get really, you're entrepreneurs. I'm telling you, this is going to make you so much better at what you do, paying attention to what's happening, what other leaders are doing, right? So say a company's falling, or a company and industry is going to fall. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so let me give you a real life example. So today the market is down. The S&P is down 99 points. So what I would have done as a short seller, and like I actually did do this, I'm in this trade. So like yesterday, about 2 days ago, the S&P was at 4,080, and it's not really dollars, but let's just say $4,080. And now it's fallen to 3,800. So almost $200 lower than that. What would happen is I would have sold the stock at 40.80, and then as it fell, I'd buy it back at 3,800, and I actually get to make the difference. It's the same thing of buy low, sell high. You just do it in the opposite order. You sell first and then you buy back low. I know that sounds confusing. Let me give you another example. So I gave this example on Instagram too. A lot of people were like, that's not true. It's too risky. Guys, any investments are risky. You have to learn how to put some protection on it. But like another example would be, Shanda was talking about her cell phone earlier. It'd be like her selling me her cell phone for $1,000 and then going on eBay and buying it back for 900. Well, she sold it to me for 1,000, got her 1,000, and then bought it lower and got to keep the difference. That's short selling. Does
Yeah,
that
it's
make sense?
arbitraging. Yeah. Yeah, it's when your mind starts to think through this is really great because like people when you go and you work as a cocktail waitress to make $200 for the day if you're lucky, you also spent your entire day doing that. Right? And so when you can get your money to work for you and you're working, and then eventually you get passive income, what that looks like is a whole different game. So, Terry, if someone was just getting into the game of playing the stock market, where would you recommend they start? Because I think people get really confused about that, or they chase the shiny object, like, oh my God, Terry's doing it over here, I should go do this, and Shanna's doing this over here, you got to go like this. So, what's like the first baseline of how you find out what you're interested in or where you should play?
Sure. Well, of course, I would say trade and travel because that's my course. But the first step is you have to start learning the language. So I want you guys to actually start like download the CNBC app or just start watching it on TV. Start listening so you can hear what's going on. Like there's so many things that are going on in the economy that are influencing the stock market. Like yesterday, the Fed made an announcement that they would raise interest rates by 50 basis points. The day before, there's this thing called CPI numbers, that's Consumer Price Index. It just says like, hey, prices are going up. Like the price, and you guys feel it, the price of gas has come down a little bit, but the price of groceries is high. The price of houses is high. So that those type of numbers come out and you'll start hearing that language if you start watching CNBC. And if you're a cord cutter like me, you can also download the app, pay a small little fee. I think like it's definitely probably like $20. and you can start listening to it live. That's step one. Then
Download what app to listen to it live?
CNBC. It's the financial channel of the NBC network. So CNBC. Here, I'll put that in the chat too.
Okay, so now, like, I'm just taking you back to layman's terms for everyone, okay? So when you see like interest basis points going up by 50, what do you think in your head? I want everybody to close the gap on this.
Sure. So when interest rates are going up, they're going up to try to get inflation down. So the reason why the Fed is putting up interest rates is because they're trying to get money out of the market. And the way they're doing that is if you have higher interest, your credit card payments are going to be higher, your mortgage payments are going to be higher, your car payments, anything that has to do with interest will be higher, and that'll start taking money out of the market. And the thought is if people have less to spend, then stores will have to start lowering their prices to meet that demand. Like say, for example, your bills are higher now because of expenses. So you go to the grocery store and you're like, I can't afford, that's too high. I can't afford that. I can't afford this. And then the grocery stores will start lowering their prices to meet where we are. So that's kind of why they're increasing interest rates, because they're thinking if we can take some money out, then, supply and demand, the demand will be lower. And then those prices.
So now I heard somebody say our HELOC tripled. Yeah, this is why people, when they're like, I'm telling you, people, the real estate market's gonna be an interesting play. I'm gonna have so much fun in the real estate market over the next couple of years. But I don't think about a couple of years because I want to think about a lot of space. I want to think about 3 months, first quarter of next year, second quarter of next year. Like I want to be in it like each quarter because I never try and buy at the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, what I'm saying is true for houses too, right? If those interest rates start going up, then not as many people can afford those high house payments. So they'll have to start lowering the house prices. So all of this is tied in together.
It's so good. And that's why like a few months ago, I was telling people to sell. Like anybody who was considering selling, I was like, sell, sell, sell. And people were like, their agents were like, no, just like, the house is listed at this price, you should buy it. I'm like, last summer, we were already making offers at 40%, 30% below. And then we realized that was too high because people were coming to the table and they were taking it. And we're like, oh, there's 3 homes that just took a 30% discount. I'm like, no, too high. I was like, I want the rejection. Like, I want to see it's like, no. And I'm like, okay, now I'm playing on a supply and demand thing. So if you make an offer on real estate and you're not embarrassed, you paid too much. I want everybody to write that down because I'm going to push a lot of real estate. I'm going to push a lot of things about stocks next year. Okay, like early next year. That's why we're starting to bring it in here on the revenue challenge to get your brain starting to wrap around it. And I'll have TERI on some more. I'll have some of my other friends on, and I'm gonna be starting to indoctrinate you so it becomes familiar, because otherwise you're gonna miss it, right? Because people's leadership, they don't follow through. They think that's not for me. So TERI, when you see things like, okay, so like I'll take mortgages again. The basis rate goes up by 50, price of food is hopefully in stores are going to start being pushed down. Now I want y'all to remember something. When you make a lot of money, I actually never know what the cost of gas is. I don't look at it. I haven't looked at it for years. The only reason why I know gas has gone up is because people have told me. I have a G-Wagon. I know I have friends that drive Teslas and they're like, you shouldn't be driving a G-Wagon, but I have a G-Wagon and I don't notice the gas prices. I also have a plane and I have wholesale contracted gas. It's higher, but the funny thing is it almost cost as much for me to book 4 first-class tickets from San Diego to California last summer than it did for me to fly my jet here and back. Okay, and so I've contracted fuel. So the rich do get richer because of the friends they hang out with and the arrangements they make. Okay, and so everybody needs to get out of the middle class. It is the worst class to live in, and you can get out very quickly over the next 2 years in markets like this. You can get out. This is not an income claim. This is a get your ass in gear claim. This is, if you want it, you need to claim it, and you need to not be afraid of selling a car or doing some, borrowing money, or I don't want to go into debt. Like, stop it, because you're going to miss it, because you want to get access to cash. There's 50 ways to find the money. Everybody should have a 50 ways to find the money up on the wall, and you should not get up off your kitchen table until you write the 50 ways to find the money. And I'm going to tell you, it's not an easy process. At some of you guys at 3, you're already stuck. Some of you guys at 25, you're already stuck. Just don't let yourself get up until you hit the 50. Like, you can't go to bed tonight until 50 ways to find the money are done. If you have to call a friend, call 12 of them, call your sister for ideas, but you need to be able to access that money within 48, 72 hours to 1 week. So don't say, I'm going to go sell my course, and you've never sold it before, right? Like, you probably won't do so well at that. I'm being really honest with you. Now, I could do that. Terry could do that, because we know I could go run a promotion. We know we know we can do that. Some of you guys know you can do that, but the ones that don't put that on 50 ways to find money. Okay, got it? Yes? Okay. So when food's coming down and stores are coming down, where do you look in the stock market now? If you're going to go place money, where would they look?
I would now look at really great companies that have just come down because the market came down, but not because of themselves. So when you say, like, they threw out the baby with the bathwater, there's a lot of great companies, and I even have a watch list. You know what, Shanda? I'll throw that in. Anybody who buys your offer, I'll share my watch list with them.
Oh, cool. Okay, so
Okay.
in case anybody doesn't know what we talked about, we took our leadership program, which is a $5,000 program where we'll coach you for 4 months to hit any goal you want. We got to have you go through 2 workshops to get you unleashed, but we will take any goal you got and we will go after it. We discount it for the holidays by 50%. You can go to joinhclnow.com. And she said, you will throw in what, if any, so that means anybody who already did grab that course will obviously honor that for you. But if you're on the fence, you know you want to multiply your money, what you're going to throw on your watch list?
Yes, because I've been trading about the same 30 companies for a long time. And many of them are great, like all of them actually. I trade really great companies. So like the Amazon, Tesla is on the list. Adobe, Salesforce. I like a lot of just great companies. Chipotle's on there, but some of them have just really come down a lot. But they're great companies. If you looked at their earnings is just the companies tell you once a quarter how they're doing. They're saying, hey, we're actually really still doing great. You know, our stock price is down because of the market, but our company is functioning well. Those are the companies that you're going to look at. And I told you guys the CNBC app, because I saw some people saying Fox Business too. They're good too. But the CNBC app, you can actually create a watch list on there. So that would be like my second thing. If there's some companies you like, go in the app, put them into your watch list, and you can just start watching how their stock is doing. And the app is cool because it'll actually give you notifications and say, like, hey, did you know that this happened new with the company? Did you know that the CEO is doing this? Or they just announced this news, and it'll just pop up on your phone. So that's really helpful too.
So cool. Jill just asked how long are you holding your trades?
I'm an active trader, so it really depends. And I'm a technical analysis trader. So I look at stock charts, which is just looking at the price over time to see where the stock is going to go next. So I'm holding them like a couple days to a couple weeks usually.
That's what Angelina does across the street too. She loves it.
Yeah, I'm a swing trader. Anything less than a year is considered a swing trader. And then if you hold it more than a year, then you're a longer term investor. But honestly, guys, I think like I like using it for income. Remember, I was using my trades to pay for hotels and all the different things that I was doing. So if you all have a goal, like I have one student, she used hers to buy furniture for her kids. She had a $30,000 day trading. What was she trading? It wasn't Tesla.
Angelina was just over for a glass of wine the other day, and she said, I just had $20,000 a day. She's like, I wish my kids would just either learn this or give me some money, because they're living in New York City and they're barely making it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so tough. It's like, it's almost like, oh my gosh, like, I hate to say this, but just it's so frustrating to watch people go without because they just don't have to, you know, it's crazy to watch. Okay, so for someone like me, I think I'd be more, I am a more of a long-term trader. I am in stocks. I have lost my ass at so many stocks. So like when you give advice to someone like me, and by the way, if you got 401ks and things like that, that was all created to get you into the market. Right? Unfortunately, I would not recommend 401ks. I'd recommend learning how to actually play the game unless you were buying stuff in your 401ks. Like if you could buy stuff,
Right.
if you
In
could
your
take the
IRA.
money in your 401k and buy stocks with it, then it's going to grow. It's going to grow income tax free inside. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I have a lot of students who they still have retirement accounts, but they'll take some of their money, especially if they left a job and they're transferring, you know, how you have to transfer your retirement over. They'll put it into a self-directed IRA and then they'll trade inside of that IRA. That way, any gains that they have is tax-free. So
That's
that's
a great
another way that
deal.
you can do this.
That,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great deal. If you don't know what an IRA is, you can go on YouTube as well and just YouTube it, right? Like get your leadership in check so that you're also like progressively like going after, like, don't let this interview be, it's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. It's a good idea. Like, don't miss this, right?
Yes.
Don't miss this. And so it's okay. The girl across the street didn't, she thought, it's not as smart, I'm not smart enough, that's for the boys, right? And then she got herself into the game, and so did Terry, and I'm getting myself into the game, right? So go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, if anybody on here feels like, okay, I'm not smart enough or I'm overwhelmed, like you can do just one stock. Get to know that one stock really well and then just trade it. So I have some students that are like, I just trade Apple. That's the one stock that they get to know. And then when it goes up, they take some profit. When it comes down, like today, because of the Fed announcements, they might get in at a lower price. And then they just trade that one stock. It's not overwhelming for them. They're only looking at news for that one company. So like there's ways to make this a lot less overwhelming because it doesn't have to be, right? And then
Yeah.
also as a swing trader, you also can hold things longer. So I have some people that are like, oh man, I'm busy. How do I do this for a busy person? Well, it could be that you see that the stocks have come down a lot. We talked about Tesla earlier. You get into Tesla, you wait a few months, and then you see next year, February or so, hey, it's come up and I've made a significant gain. You can take some profit and then use that money for something. So it doesn't have to be like I'm staring at the computer every day and pushing buttons. No, guys, like that's not what it is. It's we're getting to learn one or two companies, maybe I would say maybe 5 to 10 for you guys as newbies max. And then you're just trading in and out of those positions because you really like them for the long run, but you're just taking some profits when you can.
Okay, so somebody said, what about tax on wins? Vicky just moved to Puerto Rico. There's zero.
Yep. And
If you
there's
really
zero
want to
tax
get it.
in PR. But honestly, guys, as an active investor, they treat your income like regular income. So it'd be the same as if you had any side hustle job. You just add the amount to your regular earnings, and then you pay that tax rate. I
Yeah,
think
Donna, it's the same for Canadians. It's the same everywhere. It's a really interesting game here in Puerto Rico because you can get something called an Act 60 decree, and you can keep your companies in whatever state you're moving from, and then you start another company in Puerto Rico. And I should do a whole show on Act 60 because I think it's powerful for people to know, and how uncomplicated it is. But we have a decree to bring our hardcore business company into here, quote, kind of, that's kind of how it works. And my husband and I are employees of the company here, and we get paid from Puerto Rico. And what's really incredible is it's a 4% tax on your income. And then your dividends, so anybody who understands what I'm talking about, your dividends is a 0% tax. And anything I invest in, real estate, stock, capital gain, there's no capital gains tax here. So it's zero. So you could imagine when TERI shows me how to trade, it's just pure profit, right? It's a whole different game. So now you just have to think your own strategy. There was somebody that I was watching the other day and they said, people aren't willing to, they're not willing to do the hard things. Puerto Rico is not a hard place to live. It's actually fantastic. But like my parents are coming here next week, they have a place in Barbados. So when they were they were younger in their game of entrepreneurship, well, they were in their 40s. They're from Canada, so Canada has a great agreement to Barbados, and it's a 2% tax, right? So there's a lot, and then I just met somebody who's doing Dubai, Jim Quick, if you've ever heard of him, he does the brain stuff. They're doing Dubai. So like, if you start to pay attention, people who are going all in, they just don't stay in high tax places unless they're in real estate. And if they're in real estate, they can zero out their taxes. But still, the problem is, in my opinion, is they're still rolling the money and they don't have access to the money. They're actually creating more assets, which is great. But like, I don't know, I want to use my money and I want to have fun with my money and I want to donate my money and I want to have access to it. And that's why we chose Puerto Rico. What were you going to say, Terry?
Oh no, I'm just looking through the comments and like agreeing with a lot of people. They're like, yeah, if you just do one stock, you can like take some pressure off yourself. And then other people are talking about risk management. And yes, like I definitely teach risk management in trade and travel. Like you can put something in called a stop loss. And just for those that don't know what that is, it's an order that will just sit in the computer and it'll say, hey, if the stock ever comes below this, get me out of the trade. And that's how you protect your risk. Because you say, you know what, the maximum I'm willing to lose is, I don't know, $1,000. So if you know that the stock comes down, you can get out and it'll protect you. So there are ways to protect yourself too.
Yeah, so right now I have a bot that's buying and selling stocks, but I'm going to go learn from Terry. So buying and selling stocks, and I'm up 25%, which is great for me because I haven't had to do anything. But a friend of mine who understands what they're doing with that, and this is why sitting at the right leadership table really matters. They got on Zoom with me and they set it up for me on Zoom. And I recorded the whole thing and I pretend like I have any clue what he did. I have no clue. But I know I need to have a clue. And that's why I have Terry in front of you right now. It's why, Angelina's like, you need to know Terry. And then Terry's like, I'm going to help you. And then I'm like, Terry, I need to put you in front of our community so that people can get a clue about what's going on. So know this, I'd asked Terry last night, I'd asked Terry if she would be willing to add something in for all of you guys who jumped into HCL. So tell us about what that is.
Yeah, so I did this clinic in the beginning of the year with like 5,000 people, and it was so amazing. It was your take your first trade, and I'm going to do it again in the beginning of next year. So I'm going to give you guys a free ticket to it so that y'all can come and take your first trade. We'll do all the things to show you like, okay, these are how you get into companies. This is how you place a trade. This is how you exit a trade. So you guys will get to learn how to take your first trade.
Is it virtual, JJ's saying?
It's virtual. Yes. Yep. It's virtual.
It's virtual. So the value of this ticket for you guys to go is $1,000. And so she'll be selling this event that she's doing. And so she's gifting it to everybody who jumped into HCL. And if you're in a position where you're sitting on the fence, now's the time to jump into HCL. So I will explain what that is, but I want to give some final last words with Terry. I want to let you know that offer, that generous offer with Terry, is only available for today. Okay, so after today, it's not available tomorrow. Terry's not going to be on here tomorrow, so it's available for today. And think of this as like the 7 days of Christmas. Like we're going for like 5-7 days. It's like the 7 days of Christmas, and you just have all these beautiful things that you're getting hooked up with to be able to not only make money, but be able to execute and multiply your money. So if you joined leadership or you're wondering what leadership is, I'm not going to talk about that right this second, but basically it's your ability to take action on everything. On everything. Like, how do you get yourself to not worry about, here's Terry's course. Will I do it? Yes. If you've done leadership, you will do it. We have a 99% success rate, and that's over 3 years. So that's not one course. That's 3 years of courses in this same program. We have a 99% of our clients, whatever goal they put up, they hit it. And honestly, I'll tell you, the 1% that didn't hit it, I don't think any of them would say that it was a waste of their time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they moved their life massively forward, and they probably, like, I know one guy who didn't hit it, decided he wanted to create a patent and he had never created a patent before, and he'd been thinking about this for a long time, and he didn't hit it in the 4 months, but he moved that thing so far forward and going after it, like reinventing himself to do it. He got himself so far down that line, he created the impossible, right? But it didn't come through, so we don't count him as a statistic. So there's no almost, like, well, you did well, we can count it. There's none of that. It's straight up, you put up the goal, we make sure it's measurable, and you have to hit it, and we coach you to it. And that's the leadership program. So even if you don't know all the details about it, if you go to joinhclnow.com, you can watch some videos on that page. There's a holiday special where it's a 50% discount. There's a payment plan. If you need me to be your bank, I will finance you. If you don't need me to be your bank, the pay in full option has you in a position where you'll also get a one-on-one private monetization call or 2023 planning call, however which way you want to use it. That's only available with the pay in full option. Okay, sound good? Okay, Terry, final last words.
So I'm a Bible girl, and I know a lot of people aren't, but there's this one story in the Bible where there's 3 people, and 2 of them, the master gives some money, and then the Bible says that they immediately went and traded with it and doubled their money. And then there's one person who gets 1 talent, and then he digs it in the ground and doesn't do anything with it.
He saves it and hoards it, and
he saves it. And I just want to encourage you guys, like the master comes back and is like, you could have at least tried, like you could have tried to do something with it. That would have been better than nothing. And the guy was like, well, I didn't do anything because I was afraid. And so I just want to encourage you guys, like, don't let fear cause you to like hoard your money and keep things kind of tucked away. At least try. And even in that parable, it's like, you could at least like put it in the bank and let me get some interest. Like you could have done something with it. So just be willing to be open and thoughtful about ways to make your money grow. Because I think the biggest thing that happens to a lot of people is because of fear and because of the unknown, they immediately shut down and they say, well, that's too scary. That's too risky. That's a gamble. I'm never going to try it. At least learn about it. Like just getting the education doesn't hurt. So I'm happy you're doing this, Shanda.
Well, I'm happy that we're friends, and I'm happy to get to know you even better here in Puerto Rico, and hopefully we'll get to see each other before the holidays completely kick in. So thanks for having the courage, Terry, to do what you do, and thanks for continuing to follow a calling of helping people when that wasn't originally what you thought you were up to in the world. So can everybody give Terry lots of love, like put love in the comment section, give her lots of love, and just thanks, Terry. We really appreciate you. So I'm going to pop you off. I'm going to finish up this training today. Terry, I'll call you later. And here's what I wanted to share with you guys. First of all, I think enough said. It's time. It's your time, right? Enough said. It's your time. I mean, nobody yet has come and just given you the cash. And there's many marriages out there that one person's making the money and one person's not. And you're resentful because somebody controls the money. It's like, instead of being resentful, why don't you take responsibility? Right? Like, I want to put you back in your power. I don't want to have a bitch fest with you about all the things that you're a victim on. I'm saying that you don't need to be a victim. It's your life. You can completely change it. You can, instead of maybe your partner doesn't want to, I'm just using that as an example. Maybe your partner has their own fears around cash, and that's why they hold on to it, because they've gone out there and they've done what it took to make it, and they're scared of losing it, right? And they don't want to, they're afraid to give it to you. And I'm not saying that's biblical. I'm not saying that that's right, but it's like, it is in some cases. It's reality. And maybe if you went out there and earned a good amount of income, and I wouldn't even say earn, because I want to get you out of the earning mentality, right? I say this to our hardcore business team. I'm like, we have something called runway money. And I am relentless about figuring out how to get in your mind to get you to show up for you. And I'm relentless to get into their mind, right? It's not about them quitting and not working together. It's not about any of that. I don't have this mentality that I think everybody's an entrepreneur. I don't, but I think everybody should be responsible financially. And everybody can do what Terry was talking about today. Everybody could do that. You know what I mean? I remember going to Vegas, and I'm not saying trading is gambling, but I went to Vegas, and a good friend of mine who was a mentor of mine for many, many years, Russ, he would come to Vegas, and he had $1 million line of credit at the Bellagio Hotel. And he would come in and we would he would love to play blackjack. It was like the way he would actually bonus his staff in Vegas because of some tax break that they would get doing it that way. Anyway, long story short, he would give me $25,000 and I would play it on one hand. And I don't know why I'd always win, but I always won for many, many years. I'd give him his 25,000 back and I would have 25,000 left. And what I do with that 25,000 is I would break it up into $5,000 chips and I would play them. And I would stockpile my wins and I would start putting my chips in my pocket and I would be taking some off the top, right? Which is what TERI was saying, take some off the top, take some off the top, take some off the top. I say the same thing with selling your coaching program, selling real estate, everything. Like when I was a cocktail waitress, every Friday or Saturday, whatever my end of the week was, that money always went into multiplication account, right? Always. And then I lost my ass at that in real estate. I took all that cash, I put it in, I bought 3 different pieces of real estate. 08 happened and I lost my ass at it. And it is what it is. And was I scared? Yeah, I was scared to get back into it, but I got back into it, right? And now I've got a good amount of cash in real estate. And now I'm going back into it heavy because the market is primed. I'm going to bring my friend Pace on tomorrow. And I'm telling you, this is a guy who just last week bought 200 apartments, owner finance. Bought 4 homes yesterday, owner finance. Right? 0 money down. Now, I'm not talking the 0 money down that got us in trouble before. I'm talking about people who own their properties. And guess what? When they owner finance, they become the bank. So what are they going to do with all that cash? They're going to go invest it. But if they invest it in you and they're making money off you, but you're holding the deed and you have the tax break on it, especially if you're in a crappy state for tax, if you have good tax attorneys, you can depreciate the whole value of that home. There's lots of cool things you could do in the game, right? And so my point is I want to get you aware of this stuff because your CPA, and I said CPA, your CPA is not your tax advisor. And many of you guys don't have CPAs. You have H&R Block accountants. And you somehow think they're supposed to tell you how to keep more of your money, but they don't. That's not what they do. Their job is to line up the top line with the bottom line and make sure it all equals out. That's their job. Many of you, like I did, is I relied on them thinking that they were the people who would tell me what to write off. The write-off game is not a good game, right? The investment game, and the problem is when you go and invest cash and you're in certain states is that cash was already, it's taxed if it's not a write-off. So cash flow, write down the word cash flow. Cash flow is what many of you need to master. And then as you mastered the cash flow game, you'll stop thinking, oh my God, I just want that beautiful home. For some of you guys, it will be that, because you'll be like, I'm just at an age where I just want the beautiful home. But I'm gonna tell you, most of you, even if you're 60 years old, it might be powerful to still rent possibly, or to own or finance rent and get your cash into other investments and play the cash flow game for the next couple of years because you still have a lot of life left at 60. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? And so I want to talk to you about real quick what you could do right now. Who's got a course, a service, something? A course, a service, or something you could sell, right? Course, service, something you could sell. Everybody could make one up. Okay, so I want you to start thinking, if you don't have one, everyone could make one up. And VIPs, I will go over to you shortly. I just want to make sure I give everybody some cash flow homework tonight, okay? So there's something I've taught for years that's called I solve, okay? And when I sell on a phone call, or if you ever met me at a cocktail party or something like that, if you talk to me and I think I can help you, I'm gonna make you an offer. Because I have nothing in me that feels like I'm guilty, bad, opportunistic, because I'm not. That's not who I am. Okay, the reason why I don't run our finance department is I give everything away for free. Look, I took my leadership program, I discounted by 50%, right? Like I am notorious for never making the same offer and for stacking the offer with just life-changing bonuses. We are notorious for it. If you've ever been coached by us in your business, I teach you to do it. The problem is so many people have fear that somebody's going to take you up on your money back guarantee, or they're going to take advantage of you. And we got to heal all those traumas. And we got to get you out of fear and into leadership so that you can go out and contribute. I got to get you to stop focusing on what makes you happy and start focusing on the game of cash flow, which means what makes them happy. And when you stop looking at your own survival and you get into success, which can happen today, right now, everything will change. So I want you to know that some people right now, today, after I teach you this, will go out, and some of you guys will sell a $10,000 offer. You've never done it before. Some of you guys are gonna sell a $9 offer. Maybe like, I did it. Like I did that whole thing and now I actually know how to do it. And then I recommend you go right back out and take that $9 and jump it to like 200 or 500. And then if you jumped into joinhclnow.com, then know that I think in February she's gonna do it. You can learn to do your first trade. So maybe you start a trading account. Maybe you're gonna have $500, maybe you have $2,000, whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? And then don't discount out what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow with real estate, because you could do an owner finance and still use your money for trading. Do you guys see how you're gonna start getting ahead? You're gonna start going, I'm not doing anything that doesn't create income. When you look at the hours of the day when you get up, and you think if you're gonna start your productivity at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is, then from 8 to 9, did you produce money? And I'm not being crass, like I'm not all about money, but you got to get in the habit of training your mind to do activity that creates it. You'll stop being exhausted. You're exhausted because you're doing so many things that suck your energy and they're not producing income. When you're producing income, you get fired up. I'm telling you, you get fired up. So I stands for what's their interest, their inspiration. I'm gonna set this just so that you see this is basically what's their goal, right? What do they want? And why? Everybody write this down. When I got really good at selling, can we just make selling not a bad word? Like selling means you identified somebody who needs you and you had the leadership and the courage to go powerfully to walk them forward into something they want, not timidly. This is getting you in your power, okay? So every time I say the word sell, I want you to think that. I've identified somebody in front of me that wants this, and I'm powerfully going to lead them to the thing they want, so they make it a priority, okay? So I always start with I because who are my health people out there? Who are my health people? Put an H, my health people, okay? Okay, so who are my vegans or vegetarians? Put a V. Who are my vegans or vegetarians? Put a V in the comment section. My vegans or vegetarians, put a V in the comment section. There's only a couple of them, there's a few of you. Okay, so I eat mostly vegan. However, you guys are the absolute worst for when you're at a cocktail party or you're somewhere and like somebody's like, oh, I got a little bit of pain here. You're like, oh, well, if you stop eating meat or you stop doing this, or the eggs are inflammatory and nobody asked you. Okay, so I give that example because we all laugh, but we all know it, right? Like the total health nuts are usually the ones that are giving unsolicited advice to everybody's problems. Okay, so I want to tell you that is not powerfully going forward and selling. That is powerfully pushing everybody away. Okay, and if you've ever had a baby, you know when you have a baby, everybody gives you advice and you start to feel like, holy shit, I'm going to break this kid. Something's going wrong with this kid because what piece of advice is right? Okay, got it? So that's what it's like when you identify somebody who needs you, but you don't qualify or set the context. Think of the I like you're priming the pump, you're setting the context, you're getting on the same page. So if I am a health nut, or I am somebody helping people create wealth, well, I'm talking to someone you will always see that a door will open. Okay, so in almost every conversation, somebody complains about their health or their energy somewhere, right? Health, energy, aesthetics, weight, something, yes. Almost always they complain about their productivity, their not enough time. I'm telling you, there's no industry in here that I think that you cannot find a way to help somebody in almost every conversation. If you just talk to 5 people in a day, there's probably 50% of them who need you in any industry. You just have to become obsessed with other people versus with your own insecurities and breakdowns. And like, you ain't selling anything if you're like, I got a worthiness problem, I got this. Yeah, you're right. They're too self-absorbed to notice. In every conversation, people are complaining about, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I don't have enough time. Oh my gosh, I got my energy level, like I feel like I'm pounding these energy drinks, or whatever people are saying, they are telling you all the time, right? So now if you had a meditation product, or you had a health product, or you had a money product, or you had a productivity, leadership is a lot about productivity, right? And being able to take action no matter what. Or a stock trading product, or you guys get it, right? A swim lesson, right? Or a weight loss, whatever. Like real estate. There is all, I could match all your products to almost every person I talk to, only because I am obsessive at what we talk about in leadership, which is style flexing into my supporter. So no, I am a controller first, which means that I used to speak all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I would be the only one speaking. And so you have to learn how to style flex. And you guys who jumped into leadership know that we're teaching you this in the 3rd level. We can't teach this to you in vision or breakthrough because we're still dealing with you. We need to get you complete with you, so you stop focusing on you. We need to handle your procrastinations. We need to handle your mommy and daddy issues. Just kidding. We just need to handle all the shit that you pretend is your excuse on why you don't go forward. We need to handle that. And we do that through exercises. We have you in your homes through Zoom. The trainer puts you through exercises that you have these huge awarenesses of unconscious commitments. There's the one that you know, and there's the one that you don't know that is driving that. Great example. I thought a lot of my self-worth issues came from my mom's boyfriend, who used to beat me when I was a child. I thought that's why I have worthiness issues like that, but that wasn't it at all. Before I owned the training and I did it, I found out I was hugely angry at my mother, and it was an exercise. Like, there's no amount of therapy, I think, because I'd done therapy. I just had never seen it. Like, I had never seen the way that I walked through the world was completely framed off my mom, right? Like, and so I'm not talking mommy daddy issues. I'm talking deeply ingrained leadership patterns that you walk with and don't see. There's the logic, and then there's the completely underneath there that you just don't see. Get it? So you got to learn how to style flex. So when you're in the I, you need to have a little bit of assertiveness, which is controller, which is when you notice, say somebody's going, oh my gosh, I'm like this busy parent, and I'm like running to soccer practice, and I run in and I'm the salesperson on the side, right? I'm obsessed with helping people. I see the dad or the mom running in, they're always running in late, and they're just I swear, I mean, it's like there's not enough time in a day. Got it? Ding, 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 ding. I'm going to bring in my assertiveness, my controller, but I'm going to back it with my supporter. And I'm going to say something like, I'm going to pretend it's you, Tiffany. I say, oh, I'm going to empathize first. That's my supporter. I say, you're right, Tiffany. I could imagine, you have a lot going on in your life. I'm going to open Tiffany up so she starts to talk to me. What's pulling your energy? Well, work and da-da-da. She's just gonna give me the surface level, most likely, unless she's a huge victim and she's gonna unload everything on me, but that's rare. usually you're dealing with pretty common sense people, right? And so she's going to tell me the surface level, and I'm going to now exercise my controller because now I have a connection. So write this down. You first have to get a connection where you've empathized and you've gotten them to open up. You don't want the whole story, to be really honest. Be like, Tiffany, what? Like, I noticed that you're running in here a lot. And I'm not trying to like judge you or anything. I'm just like, gosh, girl, like, what are you up to in your life that has you just so running like that, right? And then she's going to tell me. And she's going to tell me because I asked the question in a way that has a little bit of a controller in there, but she's going to want to justify herself. Do you see what I'm saying? Because she believes that the reason why she's late all the time, or the reason why it's so hard to keep up with the schedule, like, she's not thinking in a leadership component where she's like, Sarah Blakely has 4 kids and a husband and runs a $1 billion company. Like, she's not thinking like there's another woman out there or another parent out there that has way more on their plate that isn't late. Like, her brain's not even on that because she can't even open up to that possibility. She believes that her boss is a jerk or always puts stuff on her plate last minute, or, you get what I'm saying? Y'all get it? She believes her story. That's what Michael was talking about yesterday, if you missed yesterday's, right? And so she's got that. So I just want to hear a little bit of her story. She's going to tell me that I'm listening. I'm now my supporter. And I've got to get her into, well, what does she really want? And why does she want it? You see what I'm saying? And so there's so many ways to do that. But I would say, so in a perfect world, Tiffany, in a perfect world, like, what is it that you really want to shift in 2023? Like, what's the most, hear my words, what's the most important thing to you? Right? Now, because I'm a business coach, I would say her career, probably, right? And if she was in corporate America, I might talk to her about a side hustle. And she may or may not be my client. I might connect her with TERI. Do you know what I mean? Like a friend of mine. So leaders never worry about, like, you can get paid on referrals and affiliate fees and all that. It's a great model, right? But don't negate the fact that I am almost always most of my friends' top referrer without getting paid $1. Because if I think that my client base or anybody around me needs them, if I think that, I'm going to keep sending people to them. Before I owned our leadership training, I sent over 140 people in 3 months to the same leadership program that I own today before I owned it, and they were all my clients, and I did not take an affiliate fee anywhere. I went inside our masterminds and I hardcore pressed. I sold my clients into the leadership program before I owned it because they were hitting their ceilings. And it didn't matter what I taught them. It didn't matter how many calls I did. They were capped financially, and I was like, I'm out. I'm out. Like, I'm out. I got nothing else in the tool belt to make more money. Like, there's only so many things you can teach somebody to make money. Like, it's your leadership, and whether you do it or not, and how you actually speak, and how you actually sell, and what you actually offer, and how fast you actually work, and how many campaigns you actually put in a month. I do something called stacking. The people who do what I tell them to do, or other mentors out there, the top success students, are always the ones with the best leadership. And some people just have it. Some people are like, their leadership's already rocking, right? But most of us, myself included, I needed to go do a lot of work on. By the way, I still do a lot of work on it. I go inside our rooms every couple of years and I go get work done. And the reason why I get work done is because I want to take it up to the next level. So if I'm like, I'm having a hard time, like, I hand my control over to senior executives. That was real for me for a while. Hand it over, and then it's like, it doesn't do what I think it's going to do. It's like, what's wrong? I'm not bringing my controller in. I'm just stepping back into my analyzer or my supporter and helping them. I got to keep my controller in there, or I got to have my promoter on some company team meetings. You get what I'm saying? Learning how to style flex all of that. And then that's leadership. So I want to unhook all of you guys from messiness. It's always messy. Don't let yourself or anybody around you judge you. And please don't judge the people you love for doing their walk to success. Because there was a time in your life too that you didn't get off the couch or get shit done. And so for some of you guys, you got a spouse or a family member, some of you are judging because they're not getting into gear. And just realize it's just because something hasn't clicked yet, but don't condemn them. Really hard to get up when you have people pushing you down, okay? So I want to ask TERI, like what would be in a perfect world for next year? I'd only say next year because next year's coming up right now. In a perfect world for next year, what do you want to see your career look like? Or what do you want to see your life look like? And she's going to tell me. Now, if I ask life and she doesn't talk about career, I'm going to ask career next, right? This is the most important piece to get right. Once you get this right, you have a target. As long as your product or service hits that result, you got a sale. The only reason why people don't buy is because of value. So write the word value down. When someone says, I can't find the money, they either don't believe your product works or they don't believe it will work for them. And I will tell you, there's a lot of people who back out of your products and services. On my business side, people will be like, I'm not a coach, so I don't believe that I'm not sure how this would work for me. And I'm like, I developed 90% of my business trainings off the real estate world. Just because I'm not a real estate investor, I'm a real estate investor, but I sold to investors. Remember how TERI said, number one thing is learn the language of trading. I took real estate investment courses to learn the language so then I could talk to the clients. That's how I sold over $170 million in real estate. I did that in 15 months. I did that because of learning the language. Once I learned the language, then I could talk, I could communicate. Some of you guys don't communicate because you don't style flex your leadership with your audience, and they're not buying. They're not buying because you're not landing. And when you get that, you get your power back because you stop feeling defeated. You're like, I can do something about that. How am I not? If you weren't landing with your sister, you weren't landing with your husband or your wife, you could either be right about the fact that they don't listen or they're challenging people, or you could realize challenging people can be led. If you have great leadership. Michael Strassner was on yesterday. I have seen Michael Strassner lead challenging people. Trust me, especially in the training rooms, right? And when they have their breakthroughs, those very, very aggressive, challenging people who are very, very offended and triggered become off the charts support systems for you because they're strong. And when they unhook and they're directed in the right direction, they're off the charts to be in relationship with. After I get what she wants, I need to know why she wants that. That is my hook. This, by the way, also works for creating Facebook Lives. It works for creating event topics. It works for creating anything. Okay, so marketing is always the same. Marketing and sales, if you put them together, it's always the same. What do you want? Why do you want it? S is what's stopping you. Once you know what's stopping them, I write this down. So I think Ash was sharing when he was training, if you were on Tuesday, my husband was training around how to go get an enrollment today, right? And he said he always has a paper and pen next to him and he writes down, and this is what he's writing down. With that person, what were the words they used that they wanted? What were the words they used on why they want it and what was stopping them? Everything else I don't need to write down. I just need to know those two things so I don't get distracted, you don't get distracted, and talk about something that's not important. Because people oversell. Overselling is a real thing. It sounds like convincing. You'll know when you're doing it. You will feel a disconnection. I know when I'm doing it, right? Like if I'm taking something personal, usually would happen with like my mom or my dad. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, you hear what I'm, so when you start to make something personal, some of you guys get mean, some of you guys get manipulative, some of you guys just get loud and overtalk people, and some of you guys just quiet down and you shut up, right? And now you have an integrity breakdown because you're not actually being honest, right? So there's so many areas we give up our leadership, which is giving up who we are. It's giving up the ability to contribute to someone, right? So this is why you have to stay in these models really strongly. So what do you want? Why do you want it? Why do you want it? It's the hook. What's stopping you is what you have to solve for. O is your opinion. Think of this like your advice or advice. So if I'm talking to Vanessa, right, and Vanessa tells me what's stopping her in her business, then I don't just randomly go somewhere. I'm thinking about what she wants and why she wants it, what's stopping her, and I will give her my opinion on what she needs to do. Okay, I'm not going to coach her back and forth. I'm not going to let her process with me. We're not going to have an hour conversation. I'm going to essentially lay out a blueprint. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I was in real estate, I would say, well, right now I would tell almost everybody, unless they had a real tax problem, they needed to dump money somewhere. I would tell almost everybody to owner finance. Almost everybody. Like I would say, you need to get in the best neighborhood, you need to get it owner financed, and you need to have a very like 1.22% interest rate. Nice, huh? Right? And so let the mortgage rates do what they do. It's another reason why you're telling them that you don't want to deal with the banks and you would like to take their house off their hands. And they can make the interest instead of the banks, right? And so great deal. So you're laying out the blueprint on how somebody should take action. Get it? Not with you, just in their life. You guys hear me? This is not about your product or service. Now, remember this, if I'm talking to Vanessa and she's a weight loss expert, she has an opinion, doesn't she? That's O for opinion. She has an opinion on whether or not I should be eating meat or I should be eating vegan or I should be carb cycling. So her opinion is not going to be go on the carnivore diet if she's a vegan. So, but it's not about buying her product. See, all of this is about authority. This is how somebody knows, are you generous? Are you giving? Are you forthcoming? Or are you trying to get them? And, I was coaching this in the VIP session a couple days ago. I can tell by somebody's language if they're competitive, because they'll say something like, how do I get people to buy? That's competitive. And when you're competitive, which there's nothing wrong with being competitive. I'm competitive. If you watch my husband, I go for a run, I'm beating his ass. I'm competitive, right? Like I'm super competitive. I will get a run coach if I start losing to him to beat him. Like I'm super competitive. But if you get competitive in sales, you become a predator. And people will feel it. Now, can you dominate people? Some of you guys can. Chargebacks will show it. Feeling will show it. So, however, some people it works in their ways of being to dominate, and then their products and services dominate to success. So for some people that works, and that's a very, very low percentage of people. Okay, so watch that you're not making people feel bad, and really write this down. People buy on feelings. That's why if you do what they want. Like if Vanessa's like, I would love to make $40,000 by February and I'd love to trade 30,000 of it and double my money in 1 month. Right? Well, why do you want to do that? Because I have this vision to live in France with my daughter. And I need to be location independent. And, so now I've got something real. So now when I go give her my opinion, remember, I'm not selling. I don't sell until here, the V. That's my vision for her. Because my vision is going to be, we work together. And here's why. But I'm not at the selling point. I'm not at my vision. Okay, my vision has to match her vision. I'm in the authority build right now. And we're seeing if we're a good fit, even though she doesn't know that. I'm just literally giving to her. I'm going to tell you every single one of my son's teachers, except for our house manager that's with us now, who has a master's in teaching and teaches our son, homeschools him. She is the only one who has not purchased from us. But she makes good money working for us. Right? And so she is the only one. But when Michael was training yesterday, I had her ass right here listening. Like, you need to listen to this. right? And she'll be going to leadership, but she gets it because everybody in my company, I pay as if they're in the company working, and I put them in leadership. And after they've worked for the company for a few months, they have access to go to leadership pro bono on me, and I still pay their salary while they're going to those training courses. Why? Some of them quit because they're really clear, but they kind of, you know what I mean? They're wasting our time anyway and wasting our money, because if they're not all in, they're not working at the level that they could be, right? So some quit because they're like, I have this vision, I want to go do this. Awesome. And some stay, and they get that everything they touch is a representation of their leadership and who they are. And they're not bitching and complainers. They're not. They are, if anything, they're the ones that are just like, they just get shit done. And they don't take it personal. And then they catch visions for, I want to advance in the company. I want this role. I want that role. And they do, like my executive assistant does things in this company that I find out later. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know she was doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what happens. You know, she met, you know, her life partner in our leadership program because she got clear about who she was. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you're in the authority build. So my opinion, your opinion, even though it's not your sales, is going to be in alignment because it's what you believe. Okay, so you give a blueprint, you help somebody. Then you ask them, what did you like about what I just said? This is where they sell themselves. I know that might sound a little manipulative, so don't take it that way. People need to regurgitate what they heard. What did you like about what I just said? And then after they say that, do not comment on it. Do not, because you'll kill the tension. I don't have enough time to teach you about tension. And just hear me. Do not say anything about it. So Vanessa's like, oh my God, I love that you showed me exactly how I would make $30,000. I have to do the list build first. I have to sell 20 people at this price point. You showed me where I'm going to get the support to sell that. I'm clear. I'm totally clear. I got the support. I know how to do it. I know the exact steps. I got it written down. I'm clear I can do this. Great. So the question is, would you like me to help you? Because I have a vision for you. And I think that the first quarter of next year, I have an XYZ program that I think you're perfect for. So the offer is not important. Everybody gets backed up about the offer. You just speak it. So when I used to get nervous about my offer, I would write things down like 2 1-hour coaching sessions a month for like $1,200 a month and 2 2-day masterminds in the year. Like I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I would just read it. You know what I mean? Because I was nervous at first. So I just had to have it on a piece of paper. I just read it. And if I solved down on a piece of paper and I'd write my little notes on each piece while I was on a phone call with someone. And then I just learned it. Now I just do this. If you ever are in any conversation with me, even if you're already a client, I'm going to sell you into your vision. Even if this isn't an offer, like, because they're already working with me, I need to find out what they want for next year, why they want it. What do they think is going to stop them? And I'm going to give them their plan. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And I'm going to ask them, would they hear me say, or would they like about that plan? And instead of here making them a new offer, I'm going to handle any objections that they might have or any unclearness. And then I'm going to give them a call to action to go implement something within the next 24 hours. Your call to action is excellent. What credit card do you want to put this on? The E is excellent. So after you tell them about your offer, you say, what do you think? Or how does that sound? And if the answer is an excuse, I know the money means you didn't lay out enough value here. You cheaped it out. You didn't give enough clarity, or you didn't speak to what they wanted. There's not enough value. So it'll become a money conversation. They don't get that it's going to work for them, or they don't trust themselves. And so you can say, let me ask you a question. What one of these two things is true? You don't believe that this offer will work for you, or you're worried that you won't follow through on it, or you're worried it won't work for you. They will tell you, and then you handle that. Sometimes you might need to add something into what your offer is, especially if you're brand new and you haven't worked with enough people. Like if people, I'm afraid, like the reason why I stopped doing these huge group programs, like without any sort of pod coaching, you don't need to know what that is, but the reason why I stopped doing that is because people kept saying, I'm afraid I'm going to get lost in a group program, right? Like it was everywhere. So, and then it's like, and I'm not ready to jump up to private. I don't offer a bunch of private anymore, right? But you know, like I don't have any coaching anymore where I coach every month with someone, like privately, you know, and honestly, it doesn't work. Not going to get into that. But my point is I've gotten better. Like you, some of you guys have been in your field for a long time. You know what works, so you know what doesn't work. I don't sell stuff because somebody wants it. I sell stuff that works, period. And as you're working with more people, they will give you feedback on why they're either not buying again or they don't want to buy. And when they do, let the customer be right. And I'm not saying the one cuckoo crazy person that wants to be a jerk off. I mean, if you're working with 10 people and 6 of them give you the same feedback, you need to change something. Got it? And that's how you become sold out. That's how you become sold out. We get sold out all the time because we'll set a goal of where we want to be and we'll go out there and we always hit our numbers. And the reason why we always hit our numbers is because our leadership, we don't fail. When nothing works off the forefront, every campaign breaks, every event falls apart, every sales team you build isn't strong enough, every marriage, well, I wouldn't say every marriage you get into, because I know some of you guys hit the jackpot and you're just so perfect, and the person you married was so perfect, and you have great leadership skills and you have no issues. But for the 90% of us that don't have that, it's work. Right? You get into it. My husband didn't expect me to become a Bible thumper. You know, that's what he's like, I didn't sign up for a Bible thumper. I was like, I don't know what in you, why do you care about what I read? I'm not telling you, you have to read it. And now he's a Bible thumper, you know? So it's like, you learn how to navigate these hard moments and not have to make people wrong, pull the resistance out of your life, and really be able to lead up to the life you want. You can sell. Y'all can sell. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to make a decision on what you're selling. And after you make the offer, what do you think? They say whatever they think. Excellent. What credit card do you want to put on? But Shanda, I'm not sure if it's a good fit. You already know it's a good fit. What credit card would you like to put on? Call, the number one thing before I end today that I find over and over and over again is people don't call people back to the finish line. How many times have I called you back to the joinhclnow.com? You guys have been around for the whole week. How many times have I called you back? A lot. A lot. You got to keep calling people back to their finish line. Because if you are not a strong leader for the people that you're working with, they will process themselves right out of urgency. You know what I'm talking about? Right? For some of you guys, you wanted to grow a business 10 years ago and you never did it. For some of you guys, you've been thinking about what you're going to offer or what book you're going to write for 4 freaking years. Meanwhile, I wrote my last book in 8 weeks, right? Grant Cardone wrote 10X in, I think, one night, and he never thought it was good. And it became his entire culture. Elena said, so how is it? I was like, it's okay. So often we don't think what it is that we're doing is good enough. Can you still commit to leading other people to what they want, even if you feel insecure? Yes? Can you commit to that? So I'm going to encourage you to always call people back to the call to action, which is whatever the offer is. People who know that they're not a good fit for you, they won't buy. Like they won't buy. So you don't have to worry about that. But people who want to buy, write this down. They are processing. They are processing. This is why I hate renewals. This is why it's so hard. The first sale and the reoccurring sales are always so hard when people have to make another decision to buy again. I'm so annoyed at my Pilates instructor. I know I'm being a victim. I actually need to own my responsibility. But I said to him, I was like, don't ask me to renew. Just renew me. Like, don't, because the minute he asked me to renew, what do you think happens? Should I go to the CrossFit gym up the street? Do I need to? I'm human, just like you. And I ended up not continuing with the last Pilates renewal because time got in between. And if they would have just picked up the phone and called me and said, Shanda, what credit card do you want to put this on? I would have still been going. He's a great Pilates instructor. He's from Vegas. He's incredible. He used to be a professional dancer, like all the things I want, the tight body, the everything. Like I was like, and I didn't renew. So I share this with you because I'm standing vulnerably in front of you to say, it is so important for you to hold court for the people that want to work with you. You need to hold court and not worry about the people who are going to judge you. They're like, oh my gosh, Vanessa's being too strong. Whatever. That person is just irritated that they're not taking action. And that is that's not your fault. So keep calling people back to their decision, because the people who are a no, they already know they're a no. But the people who want it, they either just haven't heard something from you yet, and they're still battling commitment, they're still battling with their belief system, but you got to have faith that they're going to get there. I'm going to end on this. I remember having a sales team at one point. We recruited them in from like different big operations, like Tony Robbins and all this stuff. Had two salespeople who they were like, I don't want to process with people. I just want to close them. And I'm like, they're like, and the people who don't have money, like, I just don't want to talk to them. I'm not kidding you. This was a real conversation. And I got on Zoom with them and I said, you know what? This company was built on my story. And when I was losing 3 homes and I went to a real estate seminar and I was in that room and somebody wrote up a deal, basically a formula on how to make money with real estate, where I show the formula on how to make money in a business. I sat there and I was like, that's simple. I always say simple works. I was like, that's simple. I can do that. But I didn't have the money to invest in the program. And it was 2 men who ended up giving me the money to invest. And I paid them back in a year with interest, 20% interest. I said to our sales team at the time, these 2 guys, I said, if that trainer or that salesperson at the front of the room looked at me like I was a piece of shit, I hate to use that word, but that I was a low life, or that I needed to process, or the fact that my reality was I was getting foreclosure signs on my door, if they would have looked at me and held me down there is no way that I would have been resourceful enough to go through my phone, even though I thought there was nobody in it, to go through my phone and go, oh, that person, and send text messages to them. There's no way that I would have found that money. And within 60 days, I made that $21,000 back in my bank account. I truly believe that today I stand here as a business owner because that trainer never looked at me like I was my circumstances. They looked at me like I could do it, no matter what my life looked like in the past. I went on to do $170 million in real estate. That was the real estate course that taught me the language. I studied it. I had a mentor. I went all in. I did some deals in real estate, and then I didn't keep investing. I went and I sold real estate. Get what I'm saying? Like, I used that course, I sold real estate and did really well. And then I heard a voice from God in my car for hours. True story. And it was to go teach people financial freedom. I'm standing here in front of you today, being the leader I am today, because I've built myself. And along the way, I've pulled the things like leadership in that have helped me the most be able to become the person that would follow through and execute. I urge you, before we close the doors on this program and raise the price right back up to $5,000. I have clients right now messaging me, can I get that bonus? Can I get that bonus? It's like, guys, the bonuses are for you. You can go to joinhclnow.com. You get the teen training from yesterday. Michael will teach all of you guys how to actually have hard triggered conversations with people you love and be able to land through it, very specific on that. We'll teach you how to go 3 days through vision. We do it on Zoom next year. If you can't do January, you can do February. You can't do February, you can do March. Right? There's no excuses. It's a commitment because we got to unwind what's happened your entire life. This is the best investment, hands down, you could ever do for your life. The best investment. That's why I now own it. Remember, I enrolled 140 people of my clients, didn't get paid for one of them, into a program off one of our masterminds because I could not get their businesses to where they wanted it to be without them doing this course. 99%. I think people don't hear that because if you're scared to take this course, you're not hearing me say 99% of the people are successful. That's outrageous on the goals they pick. 3 days in vision, then you'll do 4 days in a workshop called Breakthrough. You're going to let go of everything that is not working inside you. Everything, every limiting belief, every bad habit, everything that doesn't work that needs to be weeded out of your character, it's going. It's like hitting reset on your life. I felt like I was a white canvas and I could paint anything for the rest of my life on it. And it's never stopped. I keep creating stuff that's impossible, whether people believe that I could do it or not. They're starting to believe. My husband's my best cheerleader. He just, even if I'm like, I'm not sure if I can do that, he's like, no, you can do that. You're the best. Built that relationship, broke up with him 17 times. I sucked at relationships when I got with him, but I was able to apply these skills to be able to turn that around. Vision is 3 days, breakthrough is 4 days, and then this is where you set your goal. The third phase of this is called practice. This is obviously just for the people who don't know what we're talking about in leadership, okay? The course is a 3-day workshop, a 4-day workshop, and then practice is where you set a goal, and for 90 days, we will coach you to the finish line. You are not considered a graduate unless you hit that goal. We turn ourselves inside out to stalk you if we have to, for you to hit that goal, meaning that you are going to hit that goal. 1% do not hit the goal, 99% do. Got it? So you can go to joinhclnow.com. Today, TERI threw in her $1,000 course that she's going to do early next year. And she threw that in and she'll show you how to make your first trade. She'll show you how to set it up. She'll show you how to make your first trade. I will show you how to create some great cash flow. I told you that on January 3rd, as an additional bonus to this, I will create cash flow plans all day on January 3rd. If it takes me all day to do it, which it probably will, I will do it all day on January 3rd, and everybody will walk with a hardcore plan on creating financial freedom in 2023. Follow that plan all of next year, okay? So to be clear, you get 3 days in vision, 4 days in breakthrough practice, and then you just have a boatload of bonuses. There's 2 options on the page. There's one for $2,400 that comes with a one-on-one private plan as well. That's a full coaching plan, right? I will do a money plan that's specifically around money with the $2,400 payment. If you take that option, then you're going to sit with a business strategist or a life strategist, whatever one you want, and they will lay out a very intricate plan, right? A really, really deep plan with you. If you need me to finance it, I'm good. I'll own or finance you. I will be your bank. And so there's a second option on there that has a 3-pay that I will become your bank. So even if you have bad credit. So I got you either way, you're taken care of. So all that to be said, we're going to end the challenge tomorrow. So if you're sitting on the fence, don't sit on the fence anymore. You've had enough time to process for most of you, okay? Tomorrow, we are going to have my friend Pace on, and it's going to be a real estate game tomorrow, okay? So owner finance is his jam. It's what he's good at. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to think about a business, but I'm also trying to get you, and by the way, this also tomorrow's a great time to bring spouses, friends, mothers, fathers, anybody to the training tomorrow, right? It's relevant whether you're an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur. Bring anybody you care about to watch the last day of the challenge tomorrow. Sound good? Yes? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to flip to VIP because they've been patient and waiting for me. And everybody else.